You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Jessica Grau, plaintiff's personal injury attorney at Golden Injury Law in Tustin, California. How are you?
I am hanging in there. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome. It's great to have you. I know we've been planning it for a while. I'm glad we could finally make it work. So how are things out there? You're in California. What's going on out there with COVID? Like, how are you doing?
I mean, we're hanging in there. I'm in Orange County, so we don't have a mandatory mask mandate yet. LA does, but we're taking all the precautions, and luckily we've got a lot of people who are vaccinated out here. So we're just kind of trying to continue on business as usual, the best that we can.
That's awesome. So I actually looked up like Dana Point today on the map. It's like, is it like halfway between like LA and San Diego or whatever? Like, is that on the coast sort of? Is that?
Yeah, it's definitely on the coast, and actually there's a harbor there. Okay. So it's kind of below Newport and above San Clemente. San Clemente is like last stop Orange County before you get to San Diego.
Nice. No, it's awesome. It looks like a cool location. California is like always a fun map to look at. I'm like a Northeast guy, so like there's just so many spots out there. I've been out there a couple times, but that's really cool. So also wanted to wish you a happy birthday on the podcast. I know that was a couple of days ago. Where are you from originally? I don't think I got that in your story before we jump right in.
Oh, that's a loaded question. I don't even know if you want the answer to that.
We do have a little time. What do you got?
Well, I've kind of lived all over actually. Okay. I come from, I'll just kind of preface it with this. I come from an awesome family, but my dad never graduated college. So whenever he was offered a promotion, we moved. So It's kind of hard when people are like, hey, where are you from? To answer that question. I was born in California, but I have literally lived California, Ohio, Tennessee, Washington, Ohio again, Tennessee again, Arizona. I came out here to take the bar because my parents and sister finally were like, we're moving back to California.
Got it.
So I've been back here since 2013.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so you've lived all over. I mean, it's great to see the States, have some experience, different places. So we did feature you June 24th, 2021. We're excited to do so and receive your story, and it was very compelling. Like a lot of people loved your story. You opened right away with when you were 17, you were the victim of a grueling, and I quote, assault on campus, and your life was changed forever. You were at Arizona, right? You went to college in Arizona. Yep. You can tell us as little as you want about that. I'm not trying to pry or trigger you, but I do think it was a pivotal moment in your life, and you did add it in your story. So I wanted to ask you about it.
No, absolutely. And I'm at a place in my life now where like I wouldn't be bringing it to the forefront of social media posts if I wasn't ready to share it. It did take time to get there.
Yep.
Because I had to, go on this journey of healing. So I appreciate you saying I could say as much as I want or as little as I want. That was very kind. But what I'll say is that I never really knew that I wanted to be a lawyer. Like I said, I came from just like many of us, a typical family, and I was going to be a first generation college grad. So going to college, I was like super stressed. What am I going to be when I grow up? Oh my gosh, this is an expensive journey, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I got into ASU scholarship, decided to go there. And I think in the beginning, I had some general courses I needed to finish up before I needed to decide. But I had just started at ASU, 17 years old, and I had rushed a sorority, like many young women do these days.
Which one?
Is Delta Zeta.
DZ, okay.
Yeah, DZ.
We had them. I went to UMass. We did shout out to DZ UMass. All
right. Shout out to DZ ASU.
There you go.
But no, so I did that, and we all got invited to this fraternity party. So I went, and it was a luau theme, and this shouldn't be important, but I'm going to mention it because it kind of comes full circle. It was a luau theme. So I wore a little luau shirt and I tied it up, showed my tummy, and I wore like little white shorts and high heels with a little leg. I'm 17 years old at a frat party. So of course I consumed some alcohol that the fraternity is serving. I leave the party, I get home safe. I'm responsible at the party. Get home to my dorm room. Everybody's gone, which is because I had suite mates and everything.
Right.
And then I heard a knock on my door, and I look through the peephole and I recognize the face. It's an ex-boyfriend that I had known, who apparently was at the fraternity party. So I let him in. And from there, it was basically the most grueling 20 to 30 minutes of my life. Like, I didn't know if I was going to live or not, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And when you say pivotal moment, I mean, that was a pivotal moment for me, because from there, it was naturally, first of all, I have to survive this. Am I going to survive? Am I going to die? It's a feeling like no words can describe, seriously. And then you survive, and then the process begins that so many other assault victims go through. It's the police get involved. Okay, you report the incident to student affairs. People start finding out. They start asking questions, and the questions turn into, and specifically for me with student affairs, it was, what were you wearing? What were you drinking?
Really?
Yep. And here's the most.
So that wasn't even this kid's attorney asking you that. That was
no. This is student affairs, who's, you think they'd want to cover their own behinds. The third and most offensive question that I can't even believe they had the guts to ask in front of both my mom and dad and me: what did you do to cause that to happen to you? Not what did we do? Here are some resources. Here's how we can help you, honey. Here's the criminal and civil actions that you can take. No. What did you do? And it was almost, it came from like this, we're going to scare you into shutting up tactic.
So do you think like you were at a big school? We already mentioned the school name, right? Like a big school, like down out west or south, wherever. Like, do you think like they get a lot of those cases and like they're just trying to like funnel them and say like, don't talk? Like, do you think it was one of those? Because I mean, I feel like anytime I hear of like a big college in like Arizona, I'd be like, that place would be amazing to go, party at. But I could see as a result of that, like a lot of these incidents happening.
Yeah. And, at the time, I was so naive. And that's why I mentioned my background and where I come from. First generation college grad. My dad worked his ass off to get us to where we were in our lives. That's why we moved all over. Like, when something like this happens to just your typical American family, like, you're relying on the system or the school to kind of guide you through this. And this was the response we were getting.
Right.
Like, what did you do?
I think that's a huge like point right there. You rely on the system or the school because that you think that they're the good guys, right? Like, you think that they're going to help you, and you're probably like, so not up in arms, but you're so like, I don't want to say it's appalling that they haven't even stepped in, and like, it's not working the way that you would think it would, right?
Right. And by the way, there was no, my resident assistant, the person who's supposed to, be on duty that night to patrol the hallways and ensure the student safety, lived 2 doors down from me. So where was he? There was no apology for that either. And like I said, we just come from your normal family. We didn't know. But I think that after that, we decided, okay, we're just going to pursue this criminally, because what he did, I mean, my jaw was out, my lungs had blood in them. Like, there were all other things that had gone on physically and, emotionally, and we're getting that kind of a response. And I don't know if it's like a hush hush thing that all the universities want to do or not. I would love to think that they want to help their students. That was not my experience. That's why I talk about this now, because I don't know who else is going through this, but I mean, I like I was saying, I pursued it criminally. I go through the criminal court system and I'm assigned a victim's advocate. And this woman was like sent from the heavens. I'm telling you, like, after getting such a negative response from not only like younger peers of mine that were like, oh, that popular guy, he would do that to you. And like,
so you're saying the people at the administration at the school that was like looking at it were not like kind of older people, they were like peers, like adjudicating like what had happened?
So there were different levels. So I definitely had the student affairs were older, and they were like, what did you do? And then I had kind of the resident assistant age, like,
Okay.
you know, the guy who did that, he's really popular. And wasn't he nominated for prom king? And this is all true. And I'm like, what does that have anything to do with this? Can you see what's going on?
Right.
And
take
you don't
pictures?
even, oh yeah.
Yeah.
He went, well, I went through the criminal system, and I'll tell you what happened. I mean,
Yeah.
I get this victim's advocate, like I was telling you, and she's like sent from the heavens. She's amazing. She offered so much kindness, compassion, and just clarity for the, you know, here's the procedure, here's what you can expect. The judge is going to call you up, blah, blah, blah. Here are the possible sentences. She's the reason I wanted to become a lawyer. And then she was right. I mean, when he got sentenced, it was a felony sentence. And that was my first, it was my first whole experience.
So he got a felony, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And went away for a while to Sheriff Joe. You know, have you heard of Sheriff Joe? He made all the guys wear pink. It's big. You Google him after this. He's
Sheriff Joe, what's that all about?
Long story short, he makes prisoners wear pink and feeds them moldy food, but he's not the sheriff out there anymore, but he was for many, many years in Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you feel like you got justice?
I mean, yes and no. There's this whole like healing process you go through where you almost feel guilty. Like you did this to them.
Right.
So you have to grapple with those feelings, but also knowing that like, yes, I do feel like I got justice because I know when he was released, he did it or he tried to do it to someone else.
When he got released? Really?
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't there that long. He wasn't like wearing pink clothes like that long. Then.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't many, many years, but it was a significant amount of time, and people knew the story just from our local community, you know.
Okay.
I had a subsequent girlfriend reach out to me and say, hey, listen, because I heard your story. She kind of shared with me what she went through, and
yeah,
I kind of felt like that in and of itself, her protecting herself because she had heard what happened, is justice.
Well, I think it's very interesting too, you talking about how you kind of feel like it's your fault. I think that that's something that can really help other young women. Like saying like you can't take on this like this baggage because you did the right thing and you turned this person in, and like they're kind of paying for what they did. And I think and I know you're an advocate. You're doing great work. I read up on it like out there in the West Coast. So like we'll get into that a little bit, but that's really important stuff. So I think, you know, so you went through all this, and then like when were you thinking like, okay, like, you know, this system kind of, it was a little sketchy the way it worked, right? Like you're like, I need to be an advocate. Like I need to fight for these.
I'm telling you, that victim's advocate woman, the way she just changed my life forever. And I wish I had her information today, because I would be like, I would give her the biggest hug. She just changed my life. So I think going through all of that, seeing the system suck. Oh, and then my family was approached by a civil attorney, and he's all, oh, you have a case.
Yep.
But you have to, and this is also molded the way I approach, you know, clients who come to me with, hey, I've been assaulted, or I have this, you know, campus case or whatever. It's very delicate. And the attorney that approached my family was not delicate. We did not understand like the civil process in its entirety. We didn't understand, you know, demands, or how there are motions that you can protect certain documents, or the whole school isn't going to know, your deposition is not going to be put on blast for everyone to watch. Probably had I had some things explained to me with clarity, we probably would have moved forward with a civil suit as well. So I just kind of, I've made it part of my mission to just talk to young women. It's not your fault. You know, you can talk about what you feel like was your fault, but it's not your fault. You didn't cause this. You can't cure it. You can't change it. And also, if I'm explaining how I can help with civil ramifications, I try to be as clear as possible.
Wow. Okay. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being such a wonderful advocate for young women out there. I know like I would love to use some of your messages in the future, like maybe in future videos on lawyer stories, and that's sort of just a general message to everybody. If there's a time of year that you want to do that, like we'd love to do that.
I would be honored.
Yeah, that'd be terrific. So let me
Yeah.
ask you, like, it seems like you have this hashtag, like Just for Justice,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
use. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
still using it or like what.
Oh, I am.
So like, what is that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, honestly, I went through that and I was like, that really stinks. Like just like I'm having a conversation with you, just
Yeah.
that stinks. What I went through stinks, and what can I do about it? And then you start seeing more people that you love go through stuff. And it's like, there's so many injustices that whatever I can do with this gift of my legal license to help human beings have a better life or like heal from whatever they've been through, then I will. Whatever I can do, or if I can't do it, if I know someone who can, then that's my way of helping you achieve justice in whatever injustice it is you're suffering.
So Jess, like, what does it mean to you to handle a case with compassion and care? Because I read that also like on your website, and I personally think like that's very important, especially in like what you are doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I want to say to that, but as far as handling it with compassion, I think that it's become so routine for so many of us to, hey, here's a PNC, a possible new client. We're going to have them talk to our intake team. Then our paralegal is going to reach out, and then it just becomes like almost like this mill. And that's fine to have systems and procedures, but for me, it's so important that my clients know, hey, I'm here. I care. I've been on your side of things, and anytime you need me, I'm here to advocate for you or talk you through this or hold your hand while we walk through this together. Because what they're going through requires a lot of healing, no matter what it is that caused them pain. If you think about it, you know, if you break your leg because of a car accident, you still have a lot of emotional trauma associated with that. It's like, hey, I can't wear these shoes. How am I going to get up these stairs? All their daily life is impacted. So it can be something like that, or it can be something like, you know, my mom was raped in a nursing home. And it becomes, I hear you. Like just letting my clients know they're heard. Offers compassion. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's a wonderful thing. So like, why don't you tell everybody, like, what kind of cases are you handling right now the most?
I mean, anything under the personal injury umbrella, which would be, you know, motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall, dog bite, disfigurement from dog bites, wrongful death. I've done trucking. I was telling you before we started recording that I also help women who need restraining orders, and I am willing to do it pro bono. I will help women who are going through abusive situations, whether it be a paternity action or a divorce action. That part of my practice is very small, but like I said, anything I can do to help someone get justice or feel safe, that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So like, I know we talked about compassion and caring, but like so like for you as an attorney, like in your practice, and I know you have, I think a lot of like what I see, I like to try to connect the dots with an attorney who had an experience, whether it's like emigrating from a country and then becoming an immigration lawyer, or like going through a situation like you did, and then becoming like a very strong advocate based on your knowledge. So like what like what quality or characteristic, I know you did mention compassion and caring, so I don't want to be redundant, but like, do you feel makes you like an advocate that you know, why you're so successful in being an advocate for survivors of injustice?
Well, I think for me personally, because my feet have been in those shoes where I had to stand in front of a judge and tell her my story. As you know, you have to give a victim impact statement. So that was my first experience, standing in front of a judge, pleading with her to please do the right thing. Maybe I took that experience and I transferred it over to now standing in front of a judge on behalf of my clients and telling their story.
Yeah.
It gives me a little edge up. Not saying that other attorneys who do it aren't as capable, but maybe for me, that's something that gives me, you know, a little sprinkle of special.
Sprinkle. I like this. Sprinkle.
Yeah.
Sprinkle.
Well, I left this out too. I used to teach to get through law school to pay my bills. I did ABA therapy with kids with autism. And I used to be a teacher before that. And then I have a little 6-year-old, I'm a single mom. So I have all these little sayings that.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So like, and you do a lot of pro bono work for domestic violence. Like, so like, why do you feel attorneys should be doing pro bono work?
Well, I mean, we worked hard to get to where we are. Don't get me wrong. We paid a lot of money to go to school and we had to work our butts off to pass that bar exam.
Yep.
But the power that we have, the knowledge that we possess is a gift. And it's the way I see it is we are privileged and it's an honor, but it's also a duty to give back to our community.
Yeah. You know, I read you as somebody who would like fight really hard for your clients and somebody who like something you really like believe about. So I'm going to, you know, hopefully, you know, if you ever see somebody on Lawyer Stories, like an attorney that you want to connect with, like a bigger firm, like so happy to do it for you. That's what I like to do. That's what like keeps me going. Like I love like seeing people that I like have connected with, like connect out there in the world. I mean, it's really cool. And hopefully like sometime I get to meet most people in person, some people in person. So
I know. Well, that's what I was saying. Come to Cala or come to some of these events on the West Coast.
I know. I'd love to. I definitely would love to do that. We actually had an event in Miami. I think I mentioned this like every episode. It was our first ever networking event right before the pandemic hit.
Okay.
We worked with another group. It was so fun. Had a nice event with Sidebar of South Florida, and then we all hit a bar after. We had a lot of fun. So I'm hoping eventually like that's something that Lawyer Stories will do. Pandemic is sort of it's like a hindrance. It's a bummer. It's sort of like one of those things. So like I want to like kind of go back like to law school a little bit. Like I know you were in undergrad in Arizona. Like how did you just stay there for law school? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I did. And, you know, I went to a pretty decent law school. I don't even know what happened in school now. But basically what happened was my mom had a brain tumor and we thought we were going to lose her. She's fine now. But I decided I'm going to go to this law school here. It's local. They're newer. They were highly rated at the time. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of was like, oh, law school looks like a good idea. And like I said, I didn't really have any guidance to be like, you need to go to a higher rated school. But you know what I did do in school? I did a lot of internships. Like
so I'm going to stop right there because I think that, and I will advocate for this day and night, that is like the smartest thing in law school because we don't get it like medical students.
Yep.
You know, they have the rounds and this and, you know, they're always doing those things. We're all theory, right? So I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to say though, is that, I mean, honestly, I think that like the hands-on internships is what made my resume strong. It's what has made, my mom always talks about this tool belt that we wear and what's in your tool belt. My tool belt's pretty freaking stacked because I made a point to work my booty off and learn. And education's the one thing no one can take away from you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's really, that's interesting. And that's so smart. Like that you did like a lot of those extra, I personally wish I did more. The show isn't about me, but I kind of wish like I did some more of those type of things. And just, you know, I don't know, hindsight's 2020, you know, it is what it is.
Hey, you're doing pretty good.
I mean, I'm doing, you know, I'm having a good time. Right. So finally, it took a long time.
It takes a bit, but now you're having a good time.
That's when somebody else comes on my show and interviews me. I'll tell you the whole thing. So thank you. So so regarding law school, like you said, you don't like kind of acknowledge much of it, like, but what was like the hardest or most challenging thing about it? And like, what did you like the most?
The most challenging thing about law school was just balancing that with work. I worked like 3 jobs in law school. The best thing, and I'll say it to this day, I mean, when we went, it was a great school. I made some of the best connections of my life there. So many of us are still such good friends and great attorneys, honestly. And my daughter's godfather, I met in law school. So
that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrific. Yeah. Was it like how many people in your class? Was it a bigger school or no?
I don't even know how many people were in my class.
Okay. You know, it's like a random question. You don't really have to know. So,
yeah.
All right. So, What, so like, what would, tell us about like your first job at a law school?
Oh, I mean, that's easy. That's the one I was at the longest. What do you want to know? So many stories.
So like, just tell us what you did. Like, did you like it and what did you do? Very basic.
Yeah, it was PI. Never saw myself going PI. All my internships were criminal and family.
Okay.
And I landed the job because I had been contracting for some guy doing discovery. And he was like, I don't have enough work for you. You're doing good. Hook me up with this firm. And went from there. It was the ride of my life.
Wow. So, and you learned a lot. Like this person was like, do you have a mentor? Would you say you have a mentor?
I would say from this job, I actually have a couple.
Great.
Yes.
That's awesome. So like, what's something you had to keep in mind when you like first started practicing law?
Oh, okay. So imposter syndrome is real.
Oh,
It's so real.
we're going to talk about that when we hang up, but that, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
I mean, for me personally, I'm just like this little blonde who didn't study school, and I didn't study law school in California. So, I'm still adapting to all of this. And literally I passed the bar, and within maybe a day or two, I'm doing my first court appearance, doing some of my first depots. And it's just like, you feel like, and it doesn't just go away after the first couple appearances or anything, because it continues. Like you start to look around the room and you see who's in the room, who might be watching you. Or if you're taking someone's deposition, you have like a mini audience, and you just don't feel good enough ever. And it takes time to get over, but you just are like, what am I doing here when that person's in here too? And look at their shoes. Oh my God,
So that's so interesting. This is like a crazy question, but like, how do you think imposter syndrome, do you know, is that like a new, I know the actual concept has been around, but is that like a new thing? Do you think, or like it's been labeled? I mean, I got to do more research about that, because that's really interesting.
I really don't know.
Yeah, it takes a long time to combat that, and to like, I feel like it takes experience and sort of like, being out there, to really like combat that. You need like a special sort of confidence, and like, I don't want to say arrogance, but to not really think like that, I think. Because I totally understand what you're saying about that.
And I don't know if it ever fully goes away. Like for someone like me, I'm a Virgo. I'm very self-critical. I want to do a good job. I want to be the best. So if I'm doing anything less than what I deem the best, maybe I don't belong in this room,
But the thing is, don't you think like the thing is like you recognize it though? Like you're like, I have this thing and it's just imposter syndrome. It's not that I'm actually like not wearing the same shoes as this person. Like, but I feel this way, but this feeling is going to pass, right?
Exactly. And so that is where, like, I guess mantras come in, or just self-reassurance, whatever you want to call it. Like, you are perfectly imperfect. Stay true to who you are. Don't live in the fear. And by the way, anything that's less than you 100% is a discount. You're discounting yourself. You're coming off as cheap. Be you and just own it. And that was something that like I just had to keep reminding myself.
I love that.
And literally there's been times where I've stood in front of a judge and he's asking a question. I've been like, Your Honor, I don't know that I know the answer to that, but I can find out for you if you'd like me to step out into the hallway, or you want to continue the hearing. Like, I just have to own it.
Be you and own it. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that if everybody can learn, I think people will go towards people who actually live by that mantra. So I agree with that 100%. They will gravitate. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
So like, what has been the most helpful thing for you? Like, as you've grown into like the practice, like, what do you think's really helped you?
There's been a couple of things. I mean, first things first, it kind of tails off of what I was just saying, like get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because being uncomfortable is what makes you, number one, want to grow your knowledge base and learn more. And you're hungrier for bigger and better and thinking bigger, if that makes sense. Like when you're uncomfortable, you're climbing still.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me on that one, but that's one of my number ones. And I would say my number two would be network, network, network. You belong in those rooms just like everybody else.
Yes.
Those big
Yeah.
name attorneys, go up and talk to them. They want to talk to you.
You know what? I saw actually on TikTok, and I saved it. I think I might have deleted it, but I did save it for a little while. Somebody talking about, like, you know, people are all sort of, I don't want to say they're messed up. I'm gonna change the quote a little bit, but people have, like, a lot of people do have like issues or their things. Like, as you get older, you find that you have more things. But there are some people out there who would just hide it better. You know what I mean? Like, so there are people out there that hide it better than you do, and not you, like, sort of just like, and so they're able to not sort of like let their guard down as easy. Everybody's dealing with something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Literally sharing your story, not ashamed of who you are, owning your imperfections, kind of ties back to the last question you asked me, but just owning it. And it's like, hey, the more you share, actually, the more relatable you are and the more people want to come talk to you.
Yes. No, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in situations like that too, so I can agree with what you're saying, Jess. And I like that statement. So, like, so if we were going to give a piece of advice to law students, or actually forget the law students, to young lawyers, what would it be?
Okay. I mean, I think it all kind of relates together.
I guess
your
it could be
imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Get yourself out there, learn your legal community, and ask questions. Because asking questions got me to meet other lawyers who connected me with samples of motions or unique MSJ ops I needed, or hey, this guy needs contracting. You know, you want to contract for him? And heck yeah, I do. I know who that is. Then he's going to know who I am. And then that helps me network. So that's my piece of advice, is just kick your imposter syndrome, get your butt out there.
Okay. So no, I think that's excellent. So how about some advice for those thinking about going to law school?
It's so funny. I'm the girl that's going to tell you to go.
Good.
Go.
Good.
Yeah. Call me if you have questions, DM me on Instagram, whatever. Like I said, some of my best friends, they're like family now. I met in law school and we practice all over the country, and it's the best thing I ever did. And it's the greatest gift to be able to look at someone who doesn't know how to navigate the legal system and say, I'm going to help you the best that I can. So go to law school.
That's awesome. So, like, tell us a story about, like, a good reminder for you to, like, keep your perspective, like, broadened while you're practicing. Like, what, like, this was just something that kind of came up, so I'm curious.
Okay. So it's so silly, but sometimes the silliest things will kind of ground you. And it just reminds me, don't have tunnel vision, okay? And bear with me on this one. But when I was young, my mom always had German Shepherds. And I forget that, whoever's watching, if you know and you want to let me know the proper term, but I think it's like a Schnitzen German is what my mom had. And basically they're trained in German. So I grew up talking to these dogs, giving them commands in German, like whatever sit was, you know, I'm saying it in German. So until I was literally about 15 or 16, I thought that these dogs only spoke German, which is ridiculous because they're just trained in German, you know? Right. But the reason I'm telling you this is because when I am stuck on a case, I mean, obviously any dog can be trained in any language. It's just that dog knows this. So if you're practicing as a lawyer and you're doing the same damn thing and you get stuck in a rut, you need to think bigger, like think outside of your tunnel vision. And something I tell myself is like German Shepherds don't speak German. Like when I get stuck on something or I'm writing a motion, I'm like, damn, how am I going to argue this point? And I literally, like, my motivation is German Shepherds don't speak German.
Okay.
So that's my little story for you.
All right. So German Shepherds don't speak German.
Yeah. I mean, it is a good reminder. Like, people do what they know and they get stuck in ruts. And that was kind of what I literally was like, just relating that to, this is the dumbest story, but it just connected for me.
Okay.
These Germans know German shepherds. German shepherds know German.
What about like French bulldogs though?
Exactly. Like I could have literally grown up thinking that, but there's so much more to there's always another angle to see things, or there's always more. It's like,
oh, so it's like beyond the German, or like beyond
it's like beyond what I knew, you know? Does that make sense? It's kind of such a silly story, but literally that's my life.
No, that's amazing. I'll watch this again and then it'll make sense. So that's that's great, Jess. So let's try something different on the show today. So like we discussed before, like we could do like some 2 truths and a lie type of thing.
Okay.
So you're the one that's gonna throw me out the 3 statements.
Okay.
And you want me to tell you, I don't have any statements for you. I don't think it's.
Yeah, no, I tell you and you guess which one's a lie.
Okay, go for it.
I'm gonna write these down so I don't forget.
Okay, good.
Okay. And okay. So I was a ginger growing up.
You were a ginger. Okay.
I fell asleep on Leo DiCaprio.
You were you like ginger ale, is that?
No, like fire.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I thought you were serious. I was like,
no, I'm not serious.
I do like ginger ale though. Diet ginger ale is my drink.
It's good. It's pretty good. Okay.
So I was a ginger. I fell asleep on Leo DiCaprio's shoulders.
That's interesting. That's very specific. And you're in California, so Leo D. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And I wore an eye patch and a neck brace at the same time in school.
I could kind of believe that for some reason. Wow, so 1's a lie. Okay, so that's probably true. I don't know. Like, do I really have to guess this? Okay.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's interesting. We actually play this on our when we have Zoom networking happy hours for lawyer stories. So let's. I'm gonna go with the Leo DiCaprio
as being the lie.
As being it's 2 truths. So the lie is the lie is the eye patch.
Oh, that's the truth.
Okay, so it's the Leo DiCaprio that's.
Yeah, I didn't fall asleep on his shoulders. I went back to his room and made tacos with him and his friends.
That's awesome. Okay, well I knew it was specific, so okay. That's funny though. All right.
No, it's funny. I wore an eye patch and a neck brace at the same time. And I always joke, I'm like, all the girls wanted to be my friends because I made them look good.
They're like, hey, come take a picture with me.
Yeah, right? And then when the eye patch came off, no one wanted to be my friend anymore. Because
they're like, come take a photo with me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Jessica Grau, you're doing awesome work.
Thank you.
We really appreciate having you. Is there anything else we've left out that you want to, any life lessons that you want to give anybody today?
The first thing that pops into my head is get a dog.
Get a dog.
Get a dog. Love an animal.
Love dogs. Okay.
Yeah. That's my life lesson.
Cool.
My goal is to, with golden injury, one of these days, I'm going to get a golden doodle and I'm going to train it to kind of for PTSD for my survivors.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. You're doing amazing work with survivors and being an advocate for those who've suffered injustice. How can everybody get in touch with you besides going through me if they don't,
connect with me on Instagram. I don't know, will you connect my email on here? They can email me.
Yeah.
You can text me 714-715-3100. I am open to chatting with anyone about anything. Hit me up.
Awesome. That's amazing. Jess Grau, thanks so much for coming here today and being on the podcast. Everybody else, Jess, stay there. Everybody else, wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.